Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the celebration of the graduates of the Global Poverty and Practice minor of the class of 2024. Congratulations. My name is Dan Fletcher. I'm a professor of bioengineering at UC Berkeley and also have the pleasure of serving as the faculty director for the Blum Center for Developing Economies. And first, I would like to take a moment to recognize the other people in the room, the parents, families, and loved ones who are here to celebrate our graduates. Their support has helped make your education possible. So graduates, I invite you to turn around and give a round of applause or look to your left, to your right, and thank the loved ones. And we greatly appreciate all the support you've provided your students. So you, the graduating class of 2024, represent the 17th graduating class of the GPP minor. This year, we have over 30 students from more than 20 different graduating majors. It's a remarkable number of majors, and it shows you how cross-cutting this program is. All students in the minor take a series of courses focused on poverty and inequality and study the debates on approaches to address these urgent social and environmental problems. After rigorous preparation in their initial coursework, each student completes a practice experience working on a poverty action project. You can read about the incredible range of different projects that the students have worked on in the graduation programs that you have. Students then, after their practice experience, complete a final course in which they reflect on the experience and consider the ways in which they will carry forward their commitment to poverty and action after graduating. Today, at a time when we see the armed conflicts between Israeli and Palestinians, Russians and Ukrainians, violence in areas like Sudan and the Congo, our students are asked to consider the histories of these conflicts, the power dynamics that shape them, and importantly, the interventions that can support the most vulnerable in both the short term and the long term. GPP students are also encouraged to consider the connections between inequality abroad and the factors that produce and sustain poverty here in the US, such as homelessness that you may have seen here around the Bay Area. Within the minor, we are proud that our students come away from this program with a more nuanced understanding of the complexities of these local and global challenges, and that despite these complexities, they are still motivated to engage in poverty action. We need leaders like you to address these problems both today and in the future, so we're counting on you. Today, we celebrate and honor the hard work students have put into this program and the dedication, courage, and compassion they've applied in tackling issues of poverty and inequality. These GPP graduates inspire all of us. As champions for social justice, they represent the best of UC Berkeley. There are several members of the GPP minor community who I would like to thank particularly. None of this would have been possible without the dedicated work of our core faculty and leadership. So please join me in thanking Dr. Claire Talwalkar. So Dr. Talwalkar teaches our ethics and methods course for the minor, as well as courses on South Asian political economy. And let's also thank Dr. Khalid Kadir. Khalid teaches our capstone reflection course, as well as courses on political economy, environmental justice, and engineering. I also want to thank the Blum Center staff and the Interdisciplinary Social Sciences program who make possible the work of this minor. And several of other programs that align with the GPP minor, such as the graduate programs in development engineering and the Big Ideas Innovation Competition. So I want to thank the staff of the Blum Center for their leadership and support in carrying out these important programs. They're kind of around the back there. And I want to give special thanks to two people who have really guided the students hands-on. And that is, number one, Valerie Moss. Valerie right in the back. She's our program manager and student advisor. And Chetan Chowdhury. Our director of student programs. And the students probably don't realize how much behind the scenes work both of them do on a daily basis to keep the program going, make sure everything's organized, and make sure you have the best possible experience in the minor. So my thanks to both of them. We're also so grateful for all the work of the GPP minor peer advisors as well. Peer advisors are students who, after completing the requirements of the minor, serve as mentors and advisors to their fellow GPP students. Their leadership in this program has shaped the experience of all of our graduates here today. I ask the peer advisors to stand as I call your name. The graduating peer advisors are Jumana Abdelgadir, Kaylee Morgan, Kirti Konda, and Quiona Zamara Trammell. Now it is my great pleasure to invite Professor Claire Talwalkar to introduce our first speaker of the afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Professor Fletcher. GPP students may not know Dan Fletcher since he does not teach GPP classes. So I think it's important to point out that as faculty director of the Blum Center and acting chair of the GPP minor, Professor Fletcher has been a champion of the GPP minor in campus venues up above us, where important decisions are made for the program. So we appreciate Professor Fletcher. A big thank you to you, Dan, for supporting GPP as well as you do. All right, so here we are, class of 2024. Congratulations. Welcome also to family and friends gathered here, and thank you for your support of your graduate all these years. My name is, as you've heard, Claire Talwalkar. I'm one of the core faculty of the GPP minor. Thank you for joining us today for the graduation of the GPP class of 2024. This is a massive campus, and we consider this a unique event, honoring a group of students who have done something really interesting. They've chosen to add a focus on poverty, inequality to their major course of study. Since the first GPP graduation in May 2008, each graduating class has been unique in its own way. The class of 24 is precious, I think, because most of you began your college career in 2020, 2021 at the height of the pandemic. Everything we took for granted about in-person classes, and for us in this program, in-person practice experiences, was upended. Students were impacted, and the GPP program has been impacted too. Since then, there's been no end to troubles in the world, war, oppression, a lot of suffering. And despite all the uncertainty, you found your way to the GPP minor, and we are here today celebrating your achievements. So to add to Professor Fletcher's congratulations, me also, well done, class of 2024. What I'm actually here to do is to introduce you all to our first student speaker, Quiona Trammell. So Quiona is graduating with the anthropology major and the GPP minor. This coming fall, Quiona will bring together her major and her minor when she begins a master's program in the anthropology of development and social transformation at the University of Sussex in the UK. For her GPP practice experience, Kiona volunteered with the Berkeley Youth Alternatives, which is an after-school program for students in the Berkeley Unified School District. In her GPP classes, Kiona researched the history and the current debates about youth development, including the kinds of barriers many students face, such as those of immigration status, racism, and poverty. So as GPP faculty, we are constantly learning from our students. For their assignments, students get really clear about the many causes of a problem, and they also research the current debates about how to tackle that problem. So from Kiona, I learned about the term positive youth development, which describes a focus on understanding and providing certain positive influences that help young people succeed. And Kiona herself has been a tremendously positive influence in the GPP minor. She served as a GPP peer advisor, talking to students who are considering the minor and helping others navigate through it. Kiona has many strengths. For example, she's a gifted and creative writer. She's also an excellent listener and an all-round amazing person who I feel fortunate to have met. So a warm welcome to our first student speaker, Kiona Trimmel.
Hi, everyone. I remember sitting at my desk in my parents' home, scrolling on my computer, looking at the majors and minors offered at Cal. There I saw the little picture, students sitting and talking with locals in what reminded me of Peru, and it turns out it is Peru. Below the picture was the title of the minor, Global Poverty and Practice. I clicked. As I read the description, I made a commitment to do this minor if I got accepted at Berkeley. This evening, I want to talk about commitment. It is hard to know what compelled me to commit then, as I was reading the description. What about this minor resonated with me? What intrigued me? Commitment can be a mysterious thing. Why do we commit to the things we do? I can only imagine that this interest and commitment was a result of the whole of my personal experiences, the things I have seen and heard, the values my parents shared with me, and the observations that seemed to impose on me, those that are not so much willed but fall onto you. Sometimes we have so little control over the things that form us. We don't choose our parents, and as we walk through life, the images we see, the scenes we witness, the things we hear surprise our senses. The person's words that changed our perspective were not directed by ourselves. Their words startled us, where a respite transformed us. So this commitment, while living within us, emerges from this mosh pit of experiences that we can't fully credit to ourselves. And my hope is that this will foster a sense of humility in us, a sense of gratitude for all those, whether stranger, friend, or somewhere in between, that fueled our sense of commitment to that which we have chosen to stand for. When filling out the GPP graduation form, again, we were asked, what do you want to commit to? I avoided the question because commitment seems like a dangerous thing, and unfulfilled words turn sour. And yet, as I look back on it, this is what I have committed to. The knowledge we have gained here will weigh, and has weighed, I believe, on our conscience. For example, will we choose to live in community? That is, will we build long-standing relationships? Will we engage in the sort of work that is long and slow and absolutely rooted in commitment? Like we learned in GPP 196, little can be done without relationships that sustain us. And commitment seems all the stronger when we know each other, when we can be held accountable, when we eat together, when we laugh and cry together, and when we care and love for one another. And how will we look at ourselves when we are doing the work? Will we give credit to those who impacted us and helped carry the load? I thank Professor Talwalkar and Professor Khalid for the questions posed in class. I'm now under the suspicion that a question is much more powerful than any answer. To question may help our commitments be more than a sentiment and be transformed into viable action within the world. Thank you all, and I hope the best.
Thank you so much, Kiona. So again, my name is Chetan Chaudhary. I'm the Director of Student Programs with the Global Poverty and Practice Minor and the Blum Center. It's my honor to introduce our next student speaker for today's ceremony, Alicia Dalvi. So, Alicia is graduating with a bachelor's in Peace and Conflict Studies and a minor in GPP. For her practice experience, she served as an agriculture policy and research intern with the Ra Foundation in Mumbai, India. There, she did field research to identify the pros and cons of Indian government programs intended to assist farmers with sustainable agricultural practices. She spoke with tribal farmers to understand how they felt about government programs, conducted surveys with government officials, farmers, and stakeholders, and wrote impact reports to document the short and long-term effects of implementing various government programs. Now here at Cal, Alicia has also served as a staff writer on US politics for the Berkeley Political Review, as a concerts manager for the student-run Superb board, and as a student writing associate with the Blum Center, writing stories and articles about our students and programs within the center. In fact, 2 years ago, Alicia wrote an article summarizing the GPP graduation ceremony for the class of 2022. In her article, she wrote, "This valuable program certainly deserved an exciting graduation ceremony." We're very fortunate to have Alicia here today, as a graduate herself, to be part of making this an exciting ceremony. So please join me in welcoming Alicia.
Thank you, Chetan, for the wonderful introduction, and Kiona for your beautiful speech. 4 years ago, before I even set foot on the UC Berkeley campus, I knew I wanted to study something that made me feel like I was fighting for change. So when I was scrolling the list of different majors and minors, global poverty and practice stuck out to me immediately. It had all the right buzzwords, and it sounded like my way to satisfy my itch at fighting for equality at a university known for activist culture and progressive action. So, from freshman year, I told everyone I was majoring in political science and global poverty and practice. That sounded good, right? It felt like the epitome of social justice advocacy. But from the very beginning of GPP 115, the first class in the major, my subconscious savior complex was immediately challenged. I was forced to grapple with the idea that I am part of the problem. As students at this university, we are all benefiting from a hierarchical system of power. Who was I to think that I could overturn structural inequality while simultaneously investing in it? As my journey through GPP courses continued, I realized that I, in fact, had no idea what poverty alleviation actually entailed. The classes were not prescribing a way to achieve social and economic equality. I wasn't given a linear path where I can work my way up the ladder like some corporate job. Rather, GPP classes encouraged us to narrow in on ourselves and our community. I first had to come to terms with my engagement in systemic inequality before I jumped to finding a solution. GPP classes are, by far, the most personal and vulnerable courses I've taken in my time at Berkeley. We may all have been drawn to the minor for a similar reason, a well-intentioned yet ignorant goal of ending poverty and wealth inequality. But more importantly, we all come from different backgrounds, different majors, and different passions. So while I was curating my own relationship with poverty alleviation, so was everyone else. We were able to engage in a critical discussion and reflection together, challenging one another to unlearn the status quo. We all had different practice experiences, some working right here in Berkeley while others abroad. Sectors range from healthcare to environmental advocacy to prison reform. yet somehow it all tied together. Our work is interdisciplinary, and investing in and learning from each other is essential to the progress we're all trying to achieve. Poverty alleviation isn't just a goal. It's not a career path or a job. Rather, it is a reflection of a system built to uplift some and intimidate others. Every single activity we do, every single system we engage in, has an opportunity to work towards or against the system of power how we know it. The fight for equality transcends far beyond the classroom, and how we move forward without the GPP classes by our side is a true legacy of the Global Poverty in Practice minor. To my graduating peers, I feel like you can all agree with me that the students in the minor are a very specific Berkeley niche. Meeting someone that is also a GPP student is like meeting a long-lost best friend. You're guaranteed to discuss how fantastic the classes are, followed up by a complex conversation of structures of power. While we may be celebrating our accomplishments today, our work is certainly far from complete. But thank you all for continuously challenging my preconceived biases. In a field that can be so discouraging, you all encourage me to keep going. To the staff and faculty, thank you tirelessly for working to make the minor what it is. At a university so large and often so distant from the values of GPP, it is easy to feel like just another tuition-paying student. I've never met professors so dedicated to pushing their students to grow. It has been a privilege to have you as my mentors. I hope all of us, graduates, friends, and family, can continue to consider how we contribute to and fight against the structures of power that create and sustain inequality. Change is only possible if we all show up. It's the collective effort, the shared aspirations, and the mutual support that catapults us forward. Thank you and congratulations to the GPP class of 2024.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Valerie, so I am the student advisor and program manager for both of our academic programs here on campus. And we are now going to begin the portion of our ceremony where we recognize the graduates who are with us today. So the GPP community is a very tight-knit community, as you can see here, especially if you've gone to another ceremony here on campus. They were all asked to submit a statement discussing what we're calling their GPP inspiration. This is something they're committing to, or they learned, something they hope for, something they will miss about this community. Each of them will read the name of the fellow graduate and their GPP inspiration statement, so they'll be reading it for each other to kind of send each other off on their way. Graduates, our Blum Center staff will assist you in lining up and getting in order. Once you line up, please hand your graduation card to the person behind you. So kind of just throw it over your shoulder. Feel free to ask if you have any questions about name pronunciations, those types of things. They'll read your statement as you come up, and you will receive a certificate from Professor Fletcher, who can come up to the stage now. And once you receive the certificate, please stop and pose for a photo. Our lovely photographer is right up there. All photos will be made available to everyone, as you heard when you walked in. Are you guys ready, graduates? Woo. Okay, we will begin.
Okay, Kiona Samara Trimel. Something that Kiona will remember and reminds her of the cyclical nature of the world is the concept of politicization and depoliticization introduced by Professor Tal Walker. It reminds her of the temporality of discussions as well as their inevitable return. It reminds her that this lack of an end gives all the more room for betterment.
Marissa Almor Since finishing her GPP minor, Marissa has become a community organizer for the Northern California immigrant community. The 3 GPP courses provided Marissa with a much clearer, big picture of international development and global poverty, allowing her to articulate her ideas and thoughts. She wishes all her classes had been taught through the GPP lens.
Alicia Dalvi. GPP has taught Alicia the importance of interdisciplinary work to address systemic inequalities. Everyone in the program possesses such unique interests and abilities, creating a collaborative environment where diverse perspectives and backgrounds come together to tackle a shared objective.
Cooper Reese Anthony. Through GPP, Cooper learned the importance of community engagement and support and is committed to carrying forward the values of perspective and collaboration.
Nanama Ouche Arkaful. Completing her practice experience and GPP as a whole, Nanama is committed to being more mindful of her input in the world. She hopes for more opportunities to do service and research into poverty reduction through education. She will miss the discussions with her GPP peers and the camaraderie that came with seeing each other every week.
Kaylee Morgan. Kaylee commits to prioritizing bottom-up participation and continuing to support advocacy efforts for local grassroots efforts being made in her communities.
Kirthi Kanda. For Kirthi, GPP has been a transformative journey that has solidified a lifelong passion in advocating for marginalized voices and systemic change. She will carry the critical perspective the minor has given her throughout her life as she grows to be an advocate for health equity. Kirthi will miss this inspiring community and our shared dedication to poverty alleviation.
Daniela Martinez Samayoa. Daniela's GPP experience has been nothing but the best. Not only did she learn invaluable lessons from her practice experience and the program's professors, but she learned new life skills from living in a different country and gained a greater awareness of those living in impoverished communities.
Miguel Angel Mercado. Through GPP, Miguel discovered the power of collaboration and resilience. He commits to applying these lessons in shaping a brighter, more inclusive future for all.
Ozioma Onyanwu. One thing GPP has instilled in Ozioma is that change begins with ordinary people. We must cling to hope that our efforts for change are not in vain and that change can come.
Alice Rose Guy. Alice thanks Khalid Kadir and the GPP program for stressing to them that there is no final exam to life or to knowing. All one can do is live, make the conversation, reflect, and act accordingly to be patient with themselves and the pace of greater change.
Angie Zhao. Angie will miss Dr. Kadir's lectures. Something she will remember many years from now is the everlasting ideology and philosophy he has inspired us to develop.
Jumana Abd El Gadir. GPP takes our passions, interests, and academic focuses and charges them with intention, critical thought, and hope for a radically different future, fueled by the change we want and need to see. Jumana will apply the history and the framework of analysis she learned with her wherever she goes, whether this be personally, professionally, or academically.
I have the dubious role of following all of that. Congrats, all of you. This is exciting. I've told you all for a long time this graduation ceremony is different. You can already tell this is totally different. Feeling excited to be here. I have the honor today to introduce you to someone who I love very much, our alumni speaker, Christian Guerrero. I've been given 5 minutes to do it, but I'm going to try to keep it short so that you can hear more from Chris and less from me. Kuya Chris is a proud GPP alum, finishing his minor in 2019, along with a major in social welfare. As part of the minor, he traveled to the Philippines to work with People's Solidarity and Education Tours, where he engaged in arts and media activism work. I had the honor of sharing a classroom with Chris twice in both GPP 105 and 196, courses that bookended his practice experience. Since he's left Berkeley, we've been in touch, even going on hikes, going on a bike ride, eating pastries. In the years I've known him, I've seen Chris wear a lot of hats. He was a staunch advocate for transfer students, even printing t-shirts for transfer students as a sort of side business to make his way through Cal, a talented podcaster, a coffee importer, and now working at the Tides Foundation since 2021, I think, helping to support a variety of organizations that work to bring more equity and justice into our world. Throughout all of this, what stood out most for me and what stands out most for me about Chris is not his exceptional warmth, his deep kindness, nor his mediocre jokes. What stands out most about Chris is his deep commitment to his people and all that he does. Born in the Philippines, immigrating to the United States as a child, Chris's Filipino-American identity really shapes how he shows up in the world. In his podcast, he was elevating Filipino voices. With his coffee imports, he was trying to support Filipino coffee producers. In his work at Tides, he tries to build strength and capacity in the American community that he calls home today. In all of his efforts, Chris is constantly orienting his work towards supporting those who are most marginalized, most cut out of opportunity, and most held down by structures of oppression in the world around us. There's another cause that is active and widespread today that connects to Chris's home country of the Philippines, and that's the plight of the Palestinian people. Now, you might ask, what does Palestine have to do with the Philippines? The short answer is a lot. The two are tied together through complex histories of U.S. militarism, settler colonialism, empire, and racial capitalism. Just as the U.S. is funding and enabling a genocide taking place in Gaza right now, a genocide that has already seen the death of over 50,000 Palestinian people, predominantly women and children, the U.S. has also materially and financially supported oppressive military and policing policies enacted upon the Filipino people by their authoritarian regimes. While we are here celebrating today at this beautiful graduation, right now on Splau Plaza, they're also having a commencement celebration, and I wanted to share that because I suspect many don't know about that. The Palestinian Solidarity Commencement is going on today. It marks the end of the encampment on our campus here at UC Berkeley and the start of a new movement to push the UC Regents to divest from genocide, to divest from militarism, apartheid, and oppression. And I encourage us all to join in, even if we haven't had the chance yet. This is a movement that's really been started by students, but it hasn't happened without the help of alumni. And as an alum, your role's not done here. With that in mind, I want to close by sharing with you the often heard call of Filipino activists marching through the streets of Manila, Quezon, Davao, and many other Filipino cities. From Palestine to Philippines, stop the U.S. war machine. Kuya Chris, I love you. Please come up here and share some wisdom with us.
Thank you, Professor. That got me touched. I ain't gonna lie, and I want that kind of bio written on my LinkedIn because that was really good. So, first off, congratulations to all the graduates. Graduating from Berkeley is a very big accomplishment, and y'all should be proud of the work y'all have done. Yes. So, both in your own majors and in the GPP minor. So I also wanted to shout out the speakers. I was sitting there and listening, and I realized a lot of what y'all are sharing are kind of things that I will also say. And so it shows that y'all already have wisdom. All right, y'all already have a lot of the things y'all need leaving university. So thank you for that. And I'm honored to chat with y'all for a few minutes as an alumni. And hopefully some of my words can add to the celebration of today and also to the confidence and pride that y'all should be feeling as graduates. So first, whenever I'm in your shoes,
and I'm listening to someone, I want to know who they are. Why is this person talking to me? Like, who is this dude? And that's a fair question. So I'll say, I'm no one special, right? I'm just like y'all. I'm just a little bit older. I may be a little bit shorter than some of y'all, but I'm the same. Like, for example, some of y'all write essays like how I wrote this speech. I wrote it the day before it was due, right? So this is me pressing submit at 11:59 p.m. on Canvas, if y'all still use Canvas. So we're the same. The only difference I have is that I have a few more years in terms of mistakes and learnings. So bear with me for a few moments and think about this as if we're in the capstone reflection class and I'm just sharing with y'all some learnings from the past year. And so for context, I graduated in 2019, degree in social welfare, and of course the GPP minor. And after graduation, I actually went back to the Philippines, did some more work with the Practice Experience organization, and I still support them today. So please stay in contact with your PE org. When I came back to the US, it was job hunting season, and it was also shelter-in-place season, so it was rough. So when I think about it, though, I want to give y'all props as students, as was mentioned earlier. Y'all navigated a big shift in terms of education, both in the pandemic and the post-pandemic world. So big props to y'all. I can't imagine doing everything online and figuring it out, right? Because we're figuring out the world, and y'all are in school and doing that, right? So I currently work at a nonprofit fiscal sponsor and foundation, and basically we house nonprofits and give out money. And I'll tie that back in a second. And when I was thinking about where I was during graduation, I actually looked up my old capstone reflection essay and found this paragraph summarizing the minor, right? And let me read it for y'all. It goes, in GPP 115, I learned that the World Bank is horrible and that neoliberal policies rule the world through the control of capital and political power. In GPP 105, I learned that most volunteers do uncritical work and probably cause harm through their self-congratulatory picture taking. I also learned that a 3-hour class with Mr. Professor Khalid Kadir is pretty tiring in the afternoon, but that can also lead to some deep brain expanding conversations. And like I said a while ago, when I read this, I realized that y'all as graduates have more than enough knowledge and are well equipped to take on the world. I don't like it when people say, wait until you get into the real world to students. Very paternalistic, right? It should be the other way around. The world is waiting for y'all to contribute, to give your own knowledge, right? To take these learnings and apply it out there. We need y'all, right? We need to see the change from y'all. So, like I said, the only difference between us is that I have the additional context of time. So I have 3 suggestions I'd like to share with y'all, and I'll try to, keep it a little not too verbose. I talk a lot in class, so I'm gonna try to keep this a little succinct. So first, this is a suggestion. My friend says, I don't give advice, I just give suggestions. And here's the first one. Please, honor and place value on the work y'all have done on campus and in student groups. I've seen a lot of college grads downplay their volunteer or student organizing work, and that's a big disservice to y'all. The work y'all do, even if it's unpaid or volunteer, is real experience. All the Google Slides, the project management docs, the social media or email outreach, that's all the same things we do in the corporate world. I'm on Microsoft SharePoint doing slides and all that. It's the same, right? So please value that, honor it, speak on it with pride, because the way you speak about yourself has an impact on how other people see you. So please acknowledge the work y'all have done and be proud of it. Add it to your resume. Keep it on your portfolio. Related to that is my second suggestion, and it's about language. Learn the language of power so you can use it to write your own story, to write a new story for your community. So let me break that down for y'all. Remember that reading from GPP ethics class about the power of translation? Hopefully y'all had that same reading. How the translator themselves and the words that they use have an impact on the lives they're translating for. That was for medical translations. But that power dynamic also explains the need to translate corporate language and the language of money into relevant actions. Because the more fluent you are in the language of power, the more you'll see the opportunities to shift that power and create the impact you want to see. So for example, let me just break it down. I'll go off script a little bit. I run philanthropic events for my work. And so an example is right after an event, one donor was like, okay, give 50K to this climate org, 50K to that other one. I ran another event around voting rights and civic engagement, and a donor said, okay, put me down for 500K this year and 500K for the next year. 500K? Bro, I was on full financial aid here at Cal. I don't go to Whole Foods, I go to Trader Joe's, right? But I'm in that room with them. I understand the language to use to communicate the need to them, right? And so now I'm in these rooms where we have the opportunity to influence the movement of capital through language, through communication, because we're able to speak the language of power to those in power. And I have a timer here. I'm a little bit going on. So I'm gonna try to say this, and this is a 2-for-1-zer, right? And it's learn to advocate for yourself so you can be in a position to serve others. And connected to that is to acknowledge your own position and privilege, then play your part. So here's an example that can be a little bit more concrete, right? In the early part of my career, I was going from part-time to full-time, and the initial offer that they gave me looked pretty good. So when I crunched the numbers, though, I saw that I was being underpaid. I didn't do any, I didn't have any training about negotiation, right? I don't know that, right? So I took the time to write a clear email advocating for myself, and I received an offer 30% higher than the first. 30%. If I did not do that, then what, right? And so with that, I was able to help my mama with expenses and also fund programming for the same org that I was working with in the Philippines. I've now paid for a 2-year paid internship for that org so they can pay college grads there in the Philippines. And I'm only able to do that because I took care of myself. The second part of position and privilege is we are coming out of Cal, of Berkeley, with a significant amount of social capital. Just the name Berkeley on a resume, on your LinkedIn, it has power. And honestly, I don't really like it when people treat me differently because of it. I came from community college, and I was a little bit salty, to be honest, when I was saying the same thing before Cal and after Cal, and they just treat me better. But that's the game. That's knowing the game, playing your position, right? And then seeing how you can now shift the power for the communities you want to fight for, right? And so, sorry I get emotional about these things, right? Thank you all. Thank you all for bearing with me. And here's the thing about playing your position, right? There's different team members, right? Not everybody is going to play the same role, right? Not everybody has the capacity to be out there on the front lines. And I have to acknowledge, right? I'm not on the front lines. I'm not on the encampments. But the challenge is to ask yourself, what role can I play? And the small things. For example, I'm still big on microloans, even if there's issues if we talked about it in GPP 115, right? But on Kiva, I intentionally choose loans in the Philippines and Palestine. Those are the two top in terms of the reports of where the loans are going. At my work, we recently just got a lot of negative news because targeting us for funding Palestinian organizations or organizations supporting actions around Palestine. And so what is our decision? Our decision is to be more intentional about which stories to put out and also which organizations to filter money through, right? There's a part that everybody can play. It's not an either or, it's a yes and scenario. And I'll say, I was talking to Khalid a while ago, and I want to acknowledge everything I'm saying is also a reminder to myself, right? I ain't perfect. I have points to grow on. And that's the beauty of life after university is we're all going to continue growing, right? And y'all are in a great place because y'all have learned how to learn being here at Cal, in my opinion also. And y'all have the heart being in a GPP minor. So I'll close on that. I want to say two things to y'all first as GPP alumni. maintain your friendships. I have a group chat with GPP folks and that Khalid is in, and I've gone snowboarding with GPP folks. We went to outside lands together, but then we're also able to chop it up. What's going on in your work? What's going on? How do we really shift this, right? Because it's a protracted struggle, right? Nothing is going to happen overnight. And so please maintain those relationships. And to also the family members here that I see y'all supporting graduates, thank you. I will say that folks working on this topic, there's a lot of heart here and it's tough at times. So y'all support in whatever way that you can, right, is very impactful because we could be sitting and working on really tough issues, but the love from family and friends is very rejuvenating. So thank you all for being here. So please, to the graduates, ride on the momentum of your achievements, acknowledge all the good that y'all have done, and speak on it with pride. And please, yes, acknowledge the privilege you may have, and then figure out how to shift it. That's your superpower at times, right? As a great scholar, Kendrick Lamar says, at times, right? You're not a colleague, you're a colonizer. And so it's our challenge to realize, hey, am I acting like a colleague or a colonizer right now? And figure out, right, what's the right move? I don't know why I'm so emotional, but I just love this space. And I appreciate y'all, the youngins, and just fresh grads in different ways. Y'all have the vigor and the energy that I wish I have because I need 8 hours of sleep, right? And so please go at it with passion, and whatever you feel is resonating with you, lead with your heart. And that's where the impact is. So thank y'all.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much. I hope you all realize what an amazing, amazing group of alumni you all are joining after hearing Chris speak. Class of 2024, congratulations. You're now officially Global Poverty and Practice minor graduates. So you're now joining a community of more than 1,000 GPP alumni. And we really look forward to you staying connected with us, but just as importantly with each other, and hoping to have opportunities for you to connect with the rest of the alumni community in GPP. We hope that you'll continue to support each other as you have these past few years in your various efforts to take action on issues of urgent importance. This concludes the ceremony, and we'll now move on to party outside at our reception. But first, graduates, we will now ask you to come together just outside for a group photo. All photos will be shared with everyone, all the graduates, all the family and friends who signed up outside within the next week or two. And we look forward to connecting with you all more at the reception. So thank you all so much, and congratulations again.